I'm Gary Nickerson,
And I'm Quinn Taggart.
and this is Outside My Window.
Since March is Fraud Prevention Month, Outside My Window wanted to revisit one of our chats that we had with the partners for the Senior Safety Program in our area. The Senior Safety Program is a way for seniors, the rural RCMP, and community groups to work together to help prevent crime and keep our communities safe. The program is free to all senior residents who are 55 years of age and over. However, no one will be refused assistance. With us right now is Sergeant Andrew Joyce. He works for the Proceeds of Crime section of the RCMP and joins us from his office in Dartmouth.
Give us a sense of your background. How did you come to be where you are today with the RCMP?
Right. So my background basically is that I always wanted to be a Mountie, and to be a Mountie, I was advised to go off to university, and I went off to university. And I had to take this course called accounting. I didn't know any accountants, and so I had a bit of an aptitude for it, and I enjoyed doing it at university. And then graduating from university, I went to see the Mounties and said, "Hey, I want to be a Mountie," and they said, "Well, you can be, you can if you like." Take your application, but I see you have some applications from chartered accounting firms. You go get your chartered accountant degree and then come back and see us again if you still want to be a Mountie. And that's basically exactly what I did. So I worked with accounting firms for a number of years, became a chartered accountant here in Nova Scotia, and then I worked in various provinces in Canada with the RCMP in both general duty and in the financial crime ends of things. Always having an interest in financial crime and scams. Even when I was a kid, I was interested in scams and that kind of stuff about how how they were able to pull the wool over person's eyes. So that's basically that's my background. That's my story. And having said all that, the thing I want to get across is for me, anyways. I've just seen far too many heartbreaking stories. Heartbreaking stories in the sense that as a result of financial crimes against persons. It just the devastation that it creates. I don't know if people outside of who was victimized really realize how much someone's life can be turned over by these here fraudsters. I've often heard it called as being victimless crime, that kind of thing. It's so far from the truth. It, I can't express enough how devastating a lot of persons end up feeling as a result of these scammers.
How is the scam system, in so much as how the bad actors are coming at people, evolved over time? Now, certainly, pre-internet, it would have to have been either something via the mail or by phone. But, obviously, the internet's made it a lot easier for them to operate. But even in the last 10, 15 years, what are you seeing on your end as the evolution of the bad actors?
Yeah, well, it's what I see it growing. It seems no matter what we do, the industry is growing. I mean, let's let's not say it's anything but an industry. There's I almost think there's countries or at least certainly groups of individuals whose livelihood is based on defrauding North Americans and Canadians and Nova Scotians. Um, like in Nova Scotia alone, last year in 2023, there was a reported $7.3 million were lost to scammers. 7.3 million reported. Now, there's also studies, valid studies that show that only 5 to 10% of crimes reported are reported. From what we are seeing is for the most part, it's going outside our borders. So going overseas, going into countries where we do not have a bilateral relationship with. So what what that entails for us is a very lengthy time just a great amount of time being spent, and then we end up getting into a country where we don't have any bilateral relationship with, and we basically run into a brick wall. Our investigation essentially stops, for lack of a better word. So our success rate in prosecution and getting money back for victims is extremely low. And in fact, I would say it's less than 1%. So that's where we are with this problem.
Does that
So
factor into why it's such a low report rate? Because people feel, well, shit, I'm not going to get my money back. Why bother? Or
you
is it
know,
more the embarrassment factor?
I often hear both. So it could be a combination of that and something else. There's various reasons why the report rate is so low. But yeah, those are two big ones right there that you've identified.
So, with March being Fraud Prevention Month, give us a hint or some hints of some areas that people should be paying attention to in order to avoid themselves being caught up in some of this bad actorship.
Right. So what I urge anybody to do is if you're interested at all in this kind of topic, is go to the website, the Canadian Anti-Fraud Center website, and on that website there's just a host of information, like, and with drop downs, like how to browse the different scams, and there's hundreds of different scams, and they'll give you detail of what they are. So I mean, you can look at that for hours and read about it and learn all about it, and also how to protect yourself. There's some ideas there on the website to go and how to protect yourself, also how to report a fraud, and also what to do if you're a victim. So different frauds have impact your life differently. Sometimes you have to notify Service Canada. Sometimes you have to notify your bank straight away, your credit cards, that kind of thing. All those tips are right on this Canadian Anti-Fraud Center, along with statistics, Canadian statistics. And the numbers like that I alluded to earlier, the $7.3 million, that was actually obtained from the Canadian Anti-Fraud Center.
Now, looking at their site, looking at the end of December 2023, they're showing that the reports are down over 2022. The listed victims, are down over 2022, but the loss to fraud is up over
Yeah.
2022. So, are we looking at a larger per incident piece, or is that what that translates into?
That's exactly what has happened last year for sure. In Nova Scotia, the big one for us in Nova Scotia, and I think Canada wide as well. But Nova Scotia, the biggest loss was what they categorized under investment fraud. Now the investment fraud can be it does have a couple different roads to go to get into there, and also has a close relationship, oddly enough, with the category of romance scams. So in Nova Scotia alone last year, there was almost $5 million reported to being lost due to investments, and that is, I believe, doubled, or even more than doubled from the prior year. So one of the things that I've seen in my experience as policing here in Nova Scotia is is a lot of these here victims, they meet the scammer online. So whether you're on a dating site, and you meet somebody, and you're having some kind of a relationship with that person online, and then the relationship turns to maybe what you should do with your money. So and also, if say for instance you're online, say what we call a bromance as well. Say you're online and you're a member of a certain group, whether it be some social media group that has an interest in collecting something, whether collecting cars or Gillette razors or antique cars or that kind of stuff. And these persons are on there, and they befriend somebody on that form, and the conversation at some point turns towards investments. So now the person that was on this here form now has a good buddy, and they're communicating back and forth. They got quite a relationship going on. They have very, very similar interests. They look forward to chatting with each other and talking about their hobby. And then all of a sudden the relationship turns into, well, maybe he should invest in this and invest in that. And often they're turned over to another person of that scammers group, who guides them through investing in some kind of, usually what we're seeing in the last year or two is investing in cryptocurrency. And that's so they go down that rabbit hole of being promised high returns on their investment, and their investments look like they're doing very well until they got no more money to invest, and then all of a sudden, these persons disappear, essentially with a lot of the times the person's retirement fund.
So they've
So
evolved away from the Ponzi scheme scenario into the crypto.
Well, essentially, that's certainly one of the big avenues that we are seeing. So whether my 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 recommendation to persons is that if you've met somebody online and you're now reaching for your purse to give them money or do an action that involves your money, whether it be investing somewhere, and you don't know that person. You feel like you do, but you've never met the person. You don't even know if it's a real person, but you believe that it is, and now you're dipping into your purse or your wallet, to make investments basically on their suggestions, or give investments to a person on their recommendation. I urge everyone to check to see, well, are they registered to offer securities in Nova Scotia? There are a couple sites that persons can go to, even like www.areteyregistered.ca, and pump in the name of that company and see, first of all, if they're registered, or go to the Nova Scotia Securities Commission website itself, and there's an avenue there for to check to see if that company is actually registered. But again, with investment scams, persons must do their own due diligence to see, if that is an avenue that they should be investing in. The crypto industry can be a little murky for persons that are inexperienced with it, and these fraudsters recognize that, and they often offer to assist you in setting up your cryptocurrency accounts, and then having you send your cryptocurrency to their wallets that they can control, and of course, once it's there,
That's it. It's
it's gone.
gone.
Yeah, gonzo.
Where does AI kind of fit into this in the last while? Are you seeing a bit of an uptick on things like fakes and online and people?
AI is becoming a very strong colleague or wingman for the fraudster. There's no doubt about that. It's been around a while, but it's getting more and more sophisticated. Like AI could even be categorized as like, say for instance, I've heard of many people that they say they don't pick up the telephone unless they recognize a phone number on the other end of it. Well, these fraudsters today can do what they call spoofing, which is a fancy word for them being able to make any number that they want to show up in your call display. So I could call you from my phone, and put in, say for instance, your father's phone number. If I knew your father's phone number, I could put that into a program or an app and call you, and it would look like that I'm calling you from your father's phone. So there's that kind of thing. Basically, an attempt to disguise who they are, and make the victim, or allow the victim to drop their guard, to make them feel a little bit more at ease, for them to feel like they are known to the victim, and then they take advantage of them that way. So that's been around. That's been around now for probably close to 20 years at least, and now they're moving into voice recognition, in the sense that your voice is online a lot, has been for years. Mine is as well. A few years ago, they could take a couple minutes of our voice, clone it into their program, and then be able to say anything that they want and make it sound like it's coming from you, because it's your voice. uh, that AI has gotten so sophisticated that those couple minutes of speech that they needed before is now down to less than a minute to 2 seconds now. So that's where we've moved for that. AI again is getting even sophisticated in the sense that they're able to if somebody is able to have like a video chat, well, they're able to impose a picture onto a person and make it look like the picture of that person is the one who is actually communicating with them. That's where we are now. So it's got to a point where you have to do a double check on everything that involves either your personal information, your wallet, or your bank account. You almost have to do that double check uh, anytime that you reach into it or go to give it.
The movies have come to life.
Mm-hmm. Yep, sure has.
It makes it tough for quote unquote the average person to trust anything they see, read, or hear.
Yeah, maybe I've seen too much of it, but I don't trust anything now. Anytime that I have to reach into my wallet, I do a double check. I make sure that I know for sure where my money is going. Like if somebody calls me and says they're the vice president of one of our big five banks, and here is their name and here is their phone number. Well, I look up their name, and yeah, I can see their name says that they are, but then I research further and look for their contact information other than what was given to me to provide it to me in the first place. So I find that out on my own rather than what was provided to me. I just you just have to today. Like it's just so easy to impersonate anybody at all.
And that ties in really well to the 5 red flags that you sent to me earlier. Maybe you can run through those.
Yeah, sure. I mean, to me, that simplifies a lot of things, and it's fairly easy to understand. Is that is that you get a phone call. The first red flag is what we call the unsolicited or unknown contact. So you get a phone call or a text message or an email from somebody who you don't know. Um, Anytime that combined with your personal information or you reaching into your wallet, I would suggest everybody to take a big step back and say, "Hey, am I being defrauded here?" Um, and go from there.
Don't
And
click the link either.
do not click those links. If you weren't expecting this here this contact, do not. And if you're not certain that this is coming from who you thought it might be, then do not for sure. Find out another way. Like if you're getting a text message from CRA and you thought CRA was supposed to contact you that day, well then you contact CRA yourself outside of what was just sent to you. Like if you get an email, then you call CRA on a number that you're able to find from their official website or from a telephone book. The other red flag that I have, five of them all, is the payment. Like if you're asked to wire transfer something or send money by a gift card or by cryptocurrency, that is a huge red flag that you are being scammed. So we suggest that you do not do that. Another red flag is threats. We get people that are getting calls from CRA and being told that you provide us some money or we're going to have the police come and arrest you. Well, that's a threat. Our government agencies and legitimate businesses in Canada do not threaten you. It just doesn't happen. Another red flag we have is what we call the urgency red flag. Anytime that somebody is putting the pressure on you to get into your wallet, don't slow things down and think. They don't want you to think, and that's why they're putting that pressure on you. Uh, the fifth red flag that we often refer to is called the unavailable red flag. So whether they're unavailable to show you property that you saw maybe in an online classified section, they want you to send the money for a down payment, that kind of thing. Don't do that. Same with unavailable to show you a property. If you're into trying to find a place to live, to find a place to rent, and you see something that ticks all your boxes, it's in the exact area that you want to live, it's in your price range, it's a nice place that you can see yourself living in, but you contact the person, and for whatever reason, they're out of country or they're out of province, but they'll hold it for you if you send them money. So they're unavailable right now. So we our experience is that that is always a scam. Don't do that. And the last unavailable thing that I'd like to highlight is if you're in a relationship with somebody and that relationship is going along great, but now you're being asked to open up your wallet. If you've never met the person that you're in a relationship with, now the reasons are going to sound very, very good that they can't meet. There could be a doctor somewhere over in Ukraine and helping the soldiers or something over there and helping the people that are victimized by war, or they're on an oil rig somewhere over in Scotland or something like that, and for whatever reason they need to use your bank account or they need you to send them money, or that kind of thing. You've never met that person online, you are being scammed. Those are the five basically red flags that I often chat about in a lot of presentations that I speak to.
One thing too, although we're going to focus a little bit more on senior safety, but these sorts of scams and schemes
Mhm.
are across all demographics.
Oh, for sure. Like if I haven't said it already, these scammers are very, very good at what they do. They're very good at figuring out who you are and what basically what runs your motor. So as soon as they're able to figure that out, they're quick to capitalize on it. So it doesn't matter if you're a teenager or a senior or any age in between. They have a scam for that. So of late, we hear a lot of what they call the grandparent scams. That is often referred to as an urgency scam in the police industry, where basically you get the phone call or the text message from a loved one, and they need your help financially to get them out of a jam, and they all and prefer that you would keep a secret. And oftentimes, the other things that the other red flags, one or two or more of those will be present in that scenario as well. Whether they're asking for payment by cryptocurrency or gift card in order to get them out of jail or get their medical attention or whatever. But they've even gotten bolder in that, in the sense that a lot of the group of the scammers, they'll have somebody come by your door and pick up the cash as a bondsman or something like
Wow,
that.
that is bold.
It sure is. We've been experiencing that in the city of Halifax, but also in northeastern Nova Scotia. They've branched out to that area as well. And yeah, so as I say, there's a scam for any age group. There's a bunch of different scams out there, but if you live by those five red flags here that I've mentioned, and anytime you hear of a scam, if you think to yourself, well, how does one of those five red flags, one or more of those five red flags, how do they fit into this here scam scenario that I'm now hearing about? And if somebody's able to do that every time they hear of a scam, then that allows them to more easily recognize somebody attempting to scam someone else or yourself. If your viewers are mainly in the senior demographic, if they're understanding of what we're talking about today, share it with other family members, whether it's
That's a good point.
your grandchildren, your children, your neighbors, that kind of thing. Share it. Urge them to go to the Canadian Anti-Fraud Center website. Urge them to attend a lecture that a member of the RCMP is putting on locally, to discuss, scams and preventative tips and that kind of thing. I know we are visiting a lot of different communities to do exactly that. As one thing we've learned is really the only ones that are really going to do anything about this is ourselves. We can only really protect ourselves and to make our way out of this and make this no longer a lucrative industry where these scammers want to do business in Nova Scotia.
So if you feel you've been the victim of a scam, what's your best course of action? What do I do
Yep.
next?
All depending on the scam, for sure, what your best course of action is to do to protect yourself. But what I urge in that case, because there are so many different scams out there, go to that website that I mentioned earlier, the Canadian Anti-Fraud Center, and they have basically a drop down what to do if you are victimized. So they have it categorized by the type of scam that you may have been victimized by, and then some of the avenues, some of the ideas that you should do to lessen the effect of you being victimized.
With us now are the senior safety coordinators, Ashley Rhyno, representing the municipality of the District of Yarmouth, and Peggy Boudreau, representing the municipality of Argyll. And they join us from their office at the County RCMP substation on the airport stretch in Yarmouth.
So Ashley and Peggy, one of you can field this, but give us a little bit of a background on the senior safety program. I know we've kind of covered this before in other episodes, but it's always good to kind of reiterate exactly what the program is and what sort of things and services you offer.
Okay, it's Peggy here. The program's been in operation since 2012, which means 12 years. So it
Time flies.
Time is flying. That's right.
Flies when you're having fun.
That's right. And so when it first started, of course, we had different things to put in place. It was brand new to us, this area. So it was trying to get the word out of what our program was about and to make the connections with everyone, the different agencies, the different partners that we have. So it's, of course, over the years has changed a little bit. Some of the partners have changed, but the program is still the same program except more in detail. Our caseload is, of course, is growing, and we have a lot of different cases that we're dealing with, be it whatever it may be. A lot of in the last couple of years here since COVID, we've had a lot of mental cases. Our dementia cases are, of course, increasing. All that stuff. So the program, yes, is a partnership between the RCMP, the municipality of the District of Yarmouth, the municipality of the District of Argyll, and the Department of Seniors. So some of the funding, a small portion of the funding comes from the Department of Seniors, Nova Scotia Department of Seniors, and most of the funding is from the municipalities. Our office is located with the RCMP Rural Detachment, so we work closely with them.
Our program has a strong intervention and prevention piece with our clients. So there's, of course, the intervention is more direct and you're going in and you're having those conversations, but and that's typically done through home visits with our clients. So we'll meet with them in their home or a space they're most comfortable, whether it be here at the RCMP detachment or our municipal offices or in their community, in their home where they feel most comfortable. And we just have a chat about what it is their needs, whether it be, maybe they're a victim of a fraud and scam, maybe they're struggling with a loved one who's living with dementia and don't know how to get some resources, so we can field them to those resources. And that intervention piece is the key, and that's primarily done by home visits. And our preventative piece as well is done in home visits, but a lot of that too is giving people an opportunity to attend educational sessions through presentations that are happening in our local community. And a lot of those we try and partner with the RCMP and do those, and a lot of those are around the frauds and scams. And living safe at home and what it means to have a safe house and some things they can put in place to make that happen.
Now, certainly COVID pulled the rug out from a lot of your in-person type services. Have you turned the page on that? Is COVID officially, quote unquote, behind you now?
I think COVID probably still lays an impact into our work a little bit in terms of services that were generated in COVID, and the way we operate has certainly impacted it. And I think we'll see those implications for a long time. But as far as, us going into homes, it's not an impact. We still, if we're sick, we stay home, or if the client is sick, we maybe reschedule. There is still fear out there from that time, especially working with a vulnerable population and wanting, the education that it came around, just being cognizant of how you feel and where you're at and what that can do for our vulnerable population. But we're certainly, it doesn't have an impact on our work now as much as it did.
People are still, they're still scared. They're still, talking about it. So there's still that aspect is still there, and some things have changed. A few things have changed, not in our program, but with the people in general, like that we visit. There are things, it was really a scary time for our seniors at that time, and some have been affected and will continue to be affected by it, I guess.
Now you're marketing yourself, of course, as the senior safety program, but what's your definition of senior? Is there an age threshold that goes with that?
Well, our age is 55 plus. That's the age that we give out, but we don't refuse anyone. We haven't refused anyone. If they ask us for help from us, we usually try to do our best.
Indeed, and that's definitely appreciated. And I know that, our population locally has, spiked a bit on the older side of things. I'm choosing my words carefully. I'm in the senior category myself. I'm pushing 60, so I definitely fall into that. But are you finding a bit of an uptick in certain types of requests or challenges that you're finding?
We're certainly coming into the baby boomer population, and they're certainly aging. So,
and with the increase in population that we've had, like the surge during COVID, with the people coming in from different areas or other places in the world, we did have an influx there. So we find that those people have more needs, or I guess because they're not from here, so their family's not here, their friends aren't here. So it's more difficult for them to navigate the system. So we've been dealing with quite a few of those, the ones that are have moved here, looking for different things. So
now, of course, March is Fraud Prevention Month, so of course, a bit of focus on some of the scams and other associated bad guy kind of things going on. We just chatted with Andrew Joyce from the RCMP, and he gave us some great hints about how to avoid being a bit of a victim on that area. But what are you seeing overall in our area? I mean, certainly Andrew and I chatted a bit about what was happening on a national scale, but from your experience locally, what sort of scams are popping up that people should be aware of that are happening?
So I think can't say I see one consistently over and over again. They probably come in spurts. And the gift card scam is always popular. And by that, I mean, they call you up, they ask you to buy $500 in i2 cards or vanilla Visa cards or prepaid Visa cards in return for something. You've won the lottery and you need to provide X amount of dollars, to get that for lawyer fees or what have you. So the gift card scam isn't, and is prevalent for sure. One that I would say is becoming a little bit more prevalent is the door-to-door scams. And what that means is that somebody's knocking on your door and they're providing a service. And you may or may not get the service, or you would get the service at a heightened cost for the service. So we always caution that maybe, accept a business card if you're really interested, and then do some research before committing to that. Like, just because, somebody said the other day, never pay the first bill when you're quoting work. So if you're looking for a water system or some construction work or things like that, to talk to a few people to make sure you're getting charged a fair price. And don't just hand them $500 to go buy materials and they'll be back in an hour to fix it, because chances are that $500 is never going to be seen, nor is the person who's knocking on your door. So just making sure that you're aware of what that entails. And the romance scam is ever prevalent, and seniors are lonely and they're isolated. So those are some of the bigger ones.
So I think, we were having like online stuff with Facebook and all those social media platforms. There was a few of those that were happening. I'm sure they're still happening, but there was kind of an influx of those for a while. It changes, I guess. And then lately, the one that Ashley just mentioned, the door-to-door thing. I don't know if the people have changed their strategy on the way they're gonna, go after the people, but this door-to-door thing is really, it's scaring people because
It would be, yeah.
yeah.
And sometimes they're very pushy when they come, like door to door, and that is, I mean, people don't like conflict, and when you're in an already vulnerable state. So it's just either you ask them to come back when you have somebody who understands, or you accept a business card and call them. But it's important to not agree to things right on the spot, even though there's that pressure to do that. It's in your best interest to not do that, because then you could get into a contract that's irreversible, and it gets a little messy and a little bit complicated. And at that point, like once you're in the contract, you never want to be too late that you lose your hard-earned money, for sure.
And seniors, are vulnerable, like Ashley says, and they're trusting. So they, somebody's at my door. Wow, I have somebody visiting. Well, it can turn out to be not a good visit. It can be. So just make them aware of not to accept anybody, a stranger in their home, or anybody like that. Like, even if they are legit, it's just check first.
Yeah, it never hurts to be cautious, for sure. Especially when you're dealing with somebody that's in person. I mean, that's pretty bold. It's not the word I would have chosen, but it's definitely pretty bold. One of the ones that of course comes up because it is tax season is the CRA scam. Now that sometimes comes as a text message and sometimes comes as a phone call, but are we seeing any of those lately?
I haven't. The beauty of that is most seniors don't have smartphones right now. we're getting to the generation that does have smartphones, and we're getting to the generation that is definitely more technology inclined. But that doesn't mean they're not calling in and saying, your SIN number's been compromised. And I think it's important to think about like how CRA typically contacts you. Like, they don't typically contact you by a phone call. That like never happens. They're going to send you a letter. They're going to, and I always say, like, when in doubt, hang up the phone and find the right number and call them back. So again, it's like the door to door. Just because they're at the door doesn't mean you need to give them information or sign on the dotted line today. Like, you can always hang up the phone and call them back. And as far as like a text message coming in, I get them all the time on my smartphone, and I just ignore them and don't open the link and delete them, and then I will block the number. They may not have the know-how to do that, so in letting family members know or what have you, so they can assist them in that is certainly, and if there's always a question, like, they can always reach out to their local RCMP or to Peggy and I, and we can certainly help them in the best way we know how.
Another popular one, of course, is you have a package, you have a delivery, but your address is wrong or something along that line. I got one of those actually today. And the bonus, I think, people will have a tendency to rely on the technology as well. So I don't know whether it's built into my phone's operating system or what, but it detected it as potential spam and it took it out of my queue and stuffed it off to one side. Now I can obviously review it and decide whether or not it really is spam or isn't spam, but it does the same thing with inbound calls. It'll say potential fraud. And it'll give me the heads up. Now I never answer a call unless I know something's coming or I recognize the number or it's in my address book. But we know that the spammers and scammers can also spoof numbers and make it look like it's somebody else as well. So again, in talking with Andrew earlier, it's come to the point where although as seniors we're a little bit more trusting, we shouldn't be anymore. It's unfortunate that it's come to that, but we really can't trust anything anymore.
Exactly.
And I think it's about awareness. So being aware of where you're at, and I think your senses are heightened, but in the moment it's really hard to kind of almost have that rational thought of, is this a scam, is it not, and what that looks like. But it all comes down to awareness and knowing like what may be true or not. And that's why we say education is so important, and that's why the preventative piece is just as important as the intervention piece in the work that we do. Because if we can work on prevention and create just one person not getting scammed, or that awareness, then that is, job well done. And hopefully we're reaching more than one person, but if that's what it works, and we're saving that person hundreds of dollars or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars, like that's worth it.
And share. If you are in a position to be aware and or have some technological skills that can help somebody else, and share it with other people that Everybody knows somebody that's probably above a certain age, or B, isn't technologically inclined and probably could use some help that way, just to kind of make sure that they understand what's going on.
I mean, I've seen from when we did our presentations in the past, some of the presentations that we were doing, we did quite a few last year on fraudulent scams, and we were talking mostly about phone, a lot of phone and computer. So I guess a lot of people got some information and listened to us by doing these presentations, because it kind of slowed down there for a while. I'm not going to say that too loud, but it did help. It did help that, everybody that, a lot of people have said to me, well, if the phone rings and I don't know who it is, I don't answer, which is what we tell them. Don't answer. If you don't know them and it's important, they're going to leave a message.
I think the more we talk about it too, like the more awareness that comes to it, and it reduces the stigma around being scammed and what that looks like. Like a lot of times people are reluctant to step forward because they're embarrassed, or they feel like they've done something silly, or they're ashamed of what's happened. And we always tell people, like, if you're a victim of a fraud or a scam, it is not your fault. And we're like trying to reiterate that, and like we encourage them to reach out because it helps us support them, and we can maybe ask them questions that they're not thinking about, if they've given them credit card information, or if they've given out their social insurance number, or if kind of what personal information they've given them. And that allows us to make sure that A, the measures you've taken to overcome this scam are accurate, or B, these are some things that we maybe need to put in place to safeguard you for the future. It's really about education and reducing that stigma around it, because it's truly not their fault. I mean, these guys are really good at what they do, and that's why they do it. So it's not the individual's fault that they're scammed. They're just the unfortunate victim of that scam.
In the vein of encouraging people to reach out, how best for people to get a hold of you?
So they can call our office phone. Is probably the best way to get a hold of us, and you'll access either Peggy or I. And that's 902-881-4099. They can stop into the Royal RCMP detachment on Stars Road, right by the airport, right on the airport stretch. They're not always guaranteed to get us. We are often on the road visiting with clients, but they can certainly leave a message at the front desk with our detachment assistants, and they will certainly let us know, and we'll do our best to get in contact with them. But we certainly encourage people to reach out by phone.
And also the municipalities, like if
Yeah.
they wanted to drop into the municipal buildings, municipality of Argyle or the municipality of Yarmouth, they will take the messages for us there too and forward it to us. So that's the main way is to give us a call. We're, like Ashley said, we're on the road a lot. Leave a message. We'll get back to you as soon as we can.
And do you have any events coming up?
We do have a wellness day, which is on May the 22nd at Burridge, Nova Scotia Community College, Burridge here in Yarmouth. The day is, we will have some guest speakers and we'll have some exhibitors with their different services offered in our community. It's a wellness day. It's funding that we receive from mental health and addictions from the province. So that's how we're doing this mental day. It's our second one. We did one last year in June, and it was overwhelmingly great. Everybody enjoyed it, so we decided to do a second one. So that's May 22nd, and we'll be sending out information on it soon, probably beginning in April, I guess, or...
Yeah, registration will be required for that, and registration, you'll start seeing information kind of head out in the first week of April or so, so they can stay tuned to the municipal Facebook pages. We'll have that, and we'll probably put it on the event page in Yarmouth, and
posters.
There'll be posters out and about in the community, and but we do encourage people to register because there is a registration cap for that, and we hope they'll be able to come and enjoy the day with us and have a chat.
I'm Gary Nickerson,
And I'm Quinn Taggart.
and this has been Outside My Window.